What if the greatest tragedy in your life is not losing what God gave you, but never using it at all? Many people believe they have nothing important to offer. They look at their age, their past mistakes, their limitations, or the opportunities they missed, and they conclude that it is already too late. But Jesus told a powerful parable that challenges this way of thinking. It is the parable of the talents, and its message is not only about money, it is about responsibility, courage, fear, purpose, and what we choose to do with everything God has placed in our hands. Jesus said that a man was preparing to leave on a journey. Before departing, he called his servants and entrusted his possessions to them. To one servant he gave 5 talents, to another he gave 2, and to the third he gave 1. Each servant received according to his ability. In biblical times, a talent was a large unit of money. The master was not giving them something small or insignificant. He was placing something valuable into their care. The servants did not own what they received, but they were responsible for how they used it. The servant who received 5 talents immediately went to work. He invested what had been entrusted to him and gained 5 more. The servant who received 2 talents did the same and gained 2 more. Neither servant complained about the amount he had received. The one with 2 talents did not waste his time comparing himself with the one who had 5. He simply used what was in his hands. But the third servant made a different decision. He took the 1 talent, dug a hole in the ground, and buried it. He did not spend it. He did not lose it through carelessness. He did not steal it. He simply refused to use it. After a long time, the master returned and asked each servant to give an account. The first servant came forward and said that the 5 talents had become 10. The master was pleased and said, "Well done, good and faithful servant." The servant who had received 2 talents also returned with twice as much. He received the same words of approval. Notice something important. The master did not praise one servant more because he had gained 5 talents, and the other less because he had gained only 2. Both were called good and faithful. The master was not measuring them against each other. He was measuring their faithfulness with what they had received. Then the third servant came forward. He returned the 1 talent and tried to explain his decision. He said he had been afraid, so he buried the money in the ground. Fear became his excuse for doing nothing. The master was not pleased. The problem was not that this servant had received less. The problem was that he had done nothing with what he had received. He allowed fear to turn responsibility into paralysis. This is where the parable speaks directly to us. How many dreams, abilities, opportunities, and acts of service have been buried because of fear? Some people bury their gift because they are afraid of failure. Others bury it because they are afraid of criticism. Some believe they are too old to begin. Others believe they are too inexperienced. Some keep waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect resources, or the approval of other people. But the perfect moment may never come. God may not ask you why you did not have someone else's opportunities. He may ask what you did with the opportunities you had. Perhaps you cannot preach to thousands, but you can encourage one person who has lost hope. Perhaps you cannot give a large amount of money, but you can help someone with the resources available to you. Perhaps you cannot change the entire world, but you can change the atmosphere inside your home. Your talent may be your wisdom. It may be your compassion, your voice, your patience, your creativity, your experience, your time, or your ability to listen. What seems ordinary to you may be exactly what another person needs. The servant with 1 talent made the mistake of believing that because he had less, his responsibility was less important. But 1 talent was still valuable. What he received mattered to the master. Your life matters too. You may look back and see years that were wasted. You may remember decisions you regret. You may believe that your greatest opportunities are already behind you, but as long as God has given you another day, there is still something you can do with it. Faithfulness does not always begin with a great public action. Sometimes it begins with a small decision-making, a phone call, forgiving someone, returning to prayer, serving your family, sharing your testimony, learning something new, or finally beginning the work you have postponed. Do not wait until you feel completely fearless. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move while fear is still speaking. The first 2 servants acted, the third servant hid. And that is the question. This parable places before us, are you using what God has placed in your hands, or are you burying it because you are afraid? Stop comparing your 1 talent with someone else's 5. Stop believing that small beginnings have no value. Stop allowing yesterday's failures to control tomorrow's possibilities. God is not asking you to become someone else. He is asking you to be faithful with what He entrusted to you. One day, we will all give an account of how we used our time, opportunities, resources, and influence. The goal is not fame. The goal is faithfulness. So take 1 step today. Use your voice. Share your wisdom. Serve someone. Begin the project. Return to the purpose you abandoned. What is buried cannot grow, but what is placed in God's hands can multiply beyond what you imagined. If this message spoke to your heart, write in the comments, I will use what God gave me. Subscribe to Biblical Pills for more powerful Bible stories that strengthen your faith, and share this video with someone who needs to remember that it is not too late to begin.